Did you know your love for books could change lives? The For the Culture Book Awards isn't just any book contest. It's a celebration of diverse authors who create captivating stories that uplift African American culture. But here's the real magic. All proceeds from this amazing contest go straight to the Meet the World Image Solutions essay and scholarship programs. Yup, you heard that right. Every submitted book doesn't just uplift an author. It supports students who need a helping hand with their education. It's a win-win. Imagine the joy of knowing your book could help fund scholarships for talented young minds. It's about giving back to the community and opening doors for the next generation of writers, thinkers, and leaders. Submit your recently published fiction novel, spread the word, and let's make a difference together. Let's turn the page to a brighter future, one book at a time.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Dr. Rhonda Lawson, and I am so happy to be with you once again for the Horizons Author Lounge. So much going on. If you have not been keeping up, there's a lot going on with Meet the World Image Solutions. I'm telling you, we have the For the Culture Book Awards, which you just heard about. We have Black History Month Literary Weekend coming up in February. And have you heard about this? Hey girl, let's talk about those flaky friends for a second. You know the ones. They promise to hang out, then cancel at the last minute. Over it? Same. Imagine this instead. The Meet the World Writers Cruise, setting sail August 29th, 2025 from Miami. New faces, good vibes, and no one flaking on you. It's just you, a group of ambitious, like-minded writers, and some well-deserved fun in the sun. And here's the kicker. Only 30 cabins and the first 15 signups get a $200 discount. Why wait around for those friends to come through? Make new ones. Write your story and have the time of your life. Now is the time to write your future bestseller. Yes, yes. This is the first ever, not first annual, because there's really no such thing as first annual. It's either inaugural or it's the first ever. So I just want to let y'all know. All right. So this is the first ever Meet the World Writers Cruise. I'm so excited about it. We only have just a few cabins, and I want you to have one of those cabins. So some of you may have heard about it. I've had some people messaging me about it, just asking questions. And so we are going to have a webinar on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I want you to bring every question you can think of, because this is going to be the time to answer it. We're going to give you a little bit of a virtual tour through the ship. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to talk about some of the events that are going to be taking place. This is going to be something that you really don't want to miss. And I really want to make sure that as many of you who have been following and supporting us, I want you guys to be a part of this. I want as many of you as possible to be on this cruise. As you heard, there are only 30 cabins available, and I want you to have one of them. So if you have questions, if you're on the fence and you're thinking about whether you should make this investment, yes, you definitely need to make this investment. Yes. So I want you to join me on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can get more information about the cruise. And I will tell you, membership has its privileges. So the people who are on that call, if you go ahead and move forward with making your registration on Wednesday, you're going to get a special gift. And I don't think you want to miss this. This is something that you really need. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But in the meantime, it's time to bring on our very first guest. So without any further ado, I want you to meet Ana. Make sure I'm saying your name correctly. Is it Ana Dao? Oh, wait, you're muted.
Yes. Hello.
Yay!
How are you, Dr. Rhonda?
I'm wonderful. So I'm excited because I met you, I believe, at the Harlem Book Festival.
Yes, ma'am. You did. We did.
All right,
I really enjoyed it.
You did not play. If I remember correctly, you scanned my QR code right then and there and made your
Yes,
reservation and
I wasn't playing. I think that this is the kind of what you call it platform that I'm looking for. Uh, I know that I am writing for the world, but I'm a black woman,
amen.
and
Amen.
so I'm claiming that. I am claiming my brothers, I'm claiming my sisters, I'm claiming my nephews and my nieces, I'm claiming my neighborhood. I'm just claiming us.
Love it. Love it. Come on, you better speak. You done already started preaching, and we haven't even started the interview yet. So let's go ahead and just jump right in there. Tell me about your books. You have first of all, the cover to your book is beautiful. Is it Finding Layla's Anna?
It's finding Lalla's Anna.
Lala's Anna. So yeah,
And
tell me about the book.
Dr. Rhonda, in the beginning, I told you I'm claiming us because my story is something that I'm the first generation immigrants from West Africa. But the stories that I'm telling, if you're from North Carolina, South Carolina, wherever you are, I am sure that you're going to be able to identify with it. Why? Because we all grew up with strong Black women that were there to show us the rope. Whether it's a grandmother, whether it's an auntie, whether it's a big sister, whether it's a neighbor, we Black people, wherever we are, have this thing of looking and watching over each other. And in my specific case, my grandmother from my mother's side was my saving grace. She made sure that I, I grew up with a sense of belonging to somebody, with a sense of belonging to a culture, to a family, so that no matter how much the outside world looks exciting and enticing, and I might even lose my way in this bustle and hustle and get ahead and trying to get to the top of what I am really not sure, but somewhere along the way, I would still have this groundness that will hopefully bring me back to the reality of what is.
Mm, yes, yes. So so that's really the essence of
That's
this book.
that's the premise because, like I said, I'm the first generation immigrant. I fell in love with New York City,
Mhm.
and what I didn't know was that everything that I was taught in my childhood, especially in the oral tradition, right, telling the telling story, the passing of values for these stories, were seeds that then would blossom and kind of help me find my way when I came here. Because, and it's a little cliche, but I love saying it. As an immigrant, the only images that I saw of the United States uh, to kind of say that it's a dream world where New York between 42nd and 86th Street, Lexington, and Fifth Avenue, because those were the areas that had the high skyscraper, all the Louis Saint Laurent, and all the chic people lived in Park Avenue, or where the celebrity or where the important people or where the billionaire lived. That's where basically we got shown. And
Mhm.
it was always the same thing that you can come to the United States even with $800. And we had images of those two who came with $800 and then 10 years later ended up being billionaires. So I thought I would do the same thing. Come in with $800 and in 10 years be a billionaire. As you can see,
Did
it
it
didn't
work
quite,
out for you?
as you can see, it didn't quite work out that way. But the sad part is that I got lost in that. I got lost in the running to get things, running to get ahead, running for all these labels that have live your best life. And there are 30 steps to knowing yourself and getting ahead of yourself and everything else in between. So I kind of practiced all those until I came to my breaking point. And my breaking point was 2000, the recession happened.
Mhm.
I was let go. I had to pick up the pieces and kind of become a new salesperson for half of a salary that I used to have. And so when you're a middle-aged woman that has to start over in those circumstances, it's not a slap, it's a kind of knockout.
Mm.
And I sat down and it was like, why did I come? What is it that I'm doing here? I
Wow.
don't have anything that I thought all my aspirations just went out of the window, right? So where do you go from there? And I couldn't read another book, self-help book. God bless them, but they weren't for me,
Right.
right? They weren't my truth. And so I applied what the well-intended, advices, but at some point it broke. And so I remember calling my late grandmother and saying, my pity party, oh, nothing is working and life is, I don't know what and she was like, life is not hard, you're hard. And I'm like, no, I didn't call you for that. I'll call you to kind of tell me.
Look, I want to hear all of that. You need to
You
join
know,
my team.
it's like, please tell me, poor Anna, oh, I'm so sympathetic and blah, blah. And, you're going to be all right. And I'm going to pray for you. And,
Yes.
and she was like, no, you've been kind of operating as if you didn't have any sense. And I'm like, what made you call this woman today of all days, right? And she was like, no, but I am your grandmother. You know that I love you more than I love my own children. You know that. But if I don't tell you the truth, who will?
Mm.
It was like, yeah, maybe, but maybe this is not the day. And so but the thing is that at the end of it, she was like, okay, now that you have looked outside of yourself to find solutions to things
Right.
that you think you have, how about you just sit down, keep quiet for a minute, and try to find out what you have in your gut? And I was like, when did I stop listening to myself? I know exactly what I think. I know what I want. I know what She said, that's your head, your gut. And I'm like, so what's in there? That's not for me to tell you. That's for you to find out. But you will never find out until you stay still. And it was like, okay, so we have this. And then she gave me 3 sentences. She
Okay.
said, I'm going to tell you what my elders used to tell me. Number one, when you don't go where you're going, go back to where you come from. For if
Ooh.
you don't know where you come from, you'll never know where you're going. For who you are began where you were.
Mm.
Number
That's
two.
deep. Right. I think you need to reiterate that because you said a mouthful with those 3 lines.
So if you don't know where you're going, go back to where you were. For if you don't know who you were, you'll never know who you're going to be. For who you are today began where you were yesterday.
Mm. Mm. So break that down for us.
So basically, if I break it down, if you don't know where you're going, go back to where you were. When did the dream start? When did you start having these thoughts about your own ambitions?
Mm.
And why did you have those thoughts? And that's when it goes back to then the second question was, why do you want the things that you want? Going back to where you were basically will go back to the roots of finding out, why do you want the things you want?
Right.
What is the truth behind your pursuit? Are you what you want in life? What people said, like your parents and uncles and cousins said, oh, you're so good. Let's say that you, Dr. Ronda, everything that you have heard was, oh my God, you are so good. You're an excellent writer. You're this, you're that. And then you emulate that,
Right.
right? So that dream that you emulated can be two things. It can be at the core something that you really wanted and got reinforced, or it could be something that other people wanted to you but shut down whatever was there for you to discover.
Mm.
So which one is it? Because until you kind of weed it out and it becomes clear to you, then I wouldn't have never known if what I was pursuing was what I was meant to pursue.
Well, it's so funny that you're talking about this right now. I'm presently editing a client's book, and there's a piece in there where she's telling people to keep going, don't stop. She talked a little bit about a story where a person stopped digging right before he reached the gold.
Mhm.
And she was telling people keep digging. And so one of the things I asked her is, okay, I love that, because there are people who are going to give up before they reach their goal. But I think we also need to do some introspection and have a really honest conversation with ourselves, because one of the reasons why we may not have reached the goal that we say we wanted is because that's not what God meant for us. And so how do we tell the difference between reaching our goals and continuing to go forward and knowing when to say when, because maybe that wasn't the plan that was meant for us?
You'll never know. So basically, what you're telling me is you have to know what is not true to basically then make the discernment of what is true. In digging, from my personal experience, because that's only that, in digging, I found out that everything that I had set out, like I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a philosopher, I want to be this, and I want to be that, were all dreams of other people, right? Oh, Anna, you speak so eloquently. You should be a lawyer. Oh, Anna, you write so well. You should be. None of it was really mine. And so then came the question, why did I want to pursue that? That was because I felt that I had to prove something to my family. I didn't want to be a failure. And so I had this facade that was like the black woman that don't crack. I was strong. I was there for everybody except myself. And I learned to be this really big wall that seemed very strong in the outside, but was kind of an empty shell in. But until I went and dug and find out that the only reason why I wanted all these things was to be a pleaser, I couldn't get to what is it that I really want. And so if the question of being a pleaser no longer rise, what is left? And that answers to you, that actually will answer, I believe, your question that you had about God. I think that the reason why we are told to dig inside within ourselves is that deep inside we have this know that there's something bigger than ourselves. And from
Yes.
this know comes then the investigation of what is God for us. What is God? Am I going to church or to the mosque or wherever? What I'm practicing, is it something that I believe in? And if I believe in, what made me believe? What made me a believer? And I'll add to that, because something that my Lalla used to tell me is that you cannot have faith, you don't have doubt. You need those doubts, because doubting is what will allow you to investigate, to dig deeper, to get to the truth of the matter. And so you have this experience that, yes, even though I cannot explain the Almighty's presence, I know that the Almighty is there.
You are really preaching tonight. Stop this. So I want to, how did you decide that you needed to write about this, the first part? And then how did you connect with Wordy? Because Wordy has been around for a minute. It may not have always been around under the name Wordy,
Yes.
but Wordy has been around.
Yes. So what made me want to write? I have always had this connection with storytelling, just because of my background in Mali, where I originally come from.
Okay.
And initially, Dr. Rhonda, it was a transformation. I'm not going to lie. When I initially started writing, I really wanted to write like the people here, like the self-help books. Because I was like, I have all this knowledge from the elders. I'm going to tell you how to have the best life ever. But something that my grandmother taught me was integrity.
Okay.
And so what stopped those projects was the fact that they weren't my voice. It wasn't my story. It wasn't my truth. And to write Finding Lalla's Anna, I needed to basically channel the spirits of my elder along with my own truth, what I knew to be truth after digging for so long. That's what gave birth to this story. Because I'm in alignment and in agreement with every word that's in this book. And it was a labor of love.
Mm.
Because some of the pain that I described, I relived them as I was writing them. But that's also told me that what I was writing was true.
Wow. So how did you decide who you were going to publish with? And how long did it take you to well, first of all, before you answer that question, how long did it take you on this journey to writing these memoirs? And then
20,
how did you decide on who you were going to publish with?
20 years.
Wow.
Because when I initially got to the US, I knew that I wanted to write. But you have all kind of misconception, right? And so I like to tell the story that number one, dreams don't have expiration dates. I am the living testimony of that. Number two, if
Yes.
somebody to kind of go back to what you're saying, when something is meant for you, it doesn't matter, Dr. Rhonda, how long it takes, you get there.
Exactly.
You ultimately get there. So the funnier part is that in the beginning, I was full of myself. I really thought I had it all. I had it. So I wrote stories and I sent them, and people said, "Oh, this is cute." And then they would say, "No, this is not right for us." So I have a few of those. I have collected a few of those letters through the years, right? But I'm going to tell you, the story really came to life after I had my breakdown and I started seeking my own truth.
Mm.
That's when the story really started having shape because I wasn't no longer worried about what people are going to say when they see, oh, this sentence is so beautiful and oh, what a nice translation. I was more worried about the authenticity of the story and is what I'm telling coming from my gut rather than my head.
Yes.
So it took shape. And then the first chapter happened after my grandmother's passing. So some of the things couldn't happen until Lalla transitioned. And after she transitioned, basically recounting our love story. Because my grandmother, when she knew that I was this free spirit that didn't kind of fit in with the traditional world of my country, one of the promises that she made was like, don't worry, I know that you're going to be, you're going to try whatever you need to do. I'll always be here until I know that you have found your way. And she kept that promise, Dr. Rhonda. She made sure that I was okay emotionally, physically, spiritually before she transitioned to the other side.
Wow. That's a beautiful tribute.
Thank you. And so Wordy was pure serendipity. I was in a coffee shop on a Sunday afternoon. For once, I was minding my own business. And,
For what?
you know, and a young black lady journalist that I didn't know came and sat by me, and we struck a conversation. And I was like, "Yes, I wrote this book. Now I'm trying to find what you call it, a publisher." And she's like, "But why don't you try Wordy?" And I said, "Who?" And she said, "Wordy." And I said, "Who is Wordy?" And she said, "You remember Human Books?" And I said, "Yes."
Yes.
Well, the owner, Marva Allen, has now partnered with what you call it, other people, and now there's a publishing component to it. And so I was like, really? And so coming back home, I kind of Googled it, found it, submitted, and it was the best decision. And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes the things that I was the most afraid of is that because the story is from part of the story is from West Africa, but somebody would try to say, you know what, you need to make it a little bit rock and roll. You need to be it needs to be a little bit more than this. It needs to be a little bit more than that. And I didn't want it. It was my truth.
Yeah.
And they got it, Dr. Rhonda. They really got it.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, Miss Marva has been a supporter of Black books for a very long time. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that you signed with her, because you signed with somebody who's going to support you and help you to
Absolutely.
tell your story and your truth. So
Yes.
I was really excited when I saw that, when I got to meet you and I saw that you had published under her.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I don't know her. I don't know her well, but I know her.
Yeah. And it's for care. Like the cover of a book, we
Mhm.
went back and forth because for some reason I really knew what I wanted for the cover. And so when the first uh, example came, I was like, no, that's not it. And she was like, but don't, I said, no, that's not it. This is what, and so she helped me walk them through. And then they went back to the drawing board and came out with this. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly it. I couldn't have done it better. So to have somebody at that level who's willing to listen to you and not
Yeah.
say, but I know better. I'm the publisher. I know what people want to see. But to really listen to you, that was a privilege. That's something I'll always be grateful for.
Wonderful. So, what are you doing now? The book was released back in April, and if any, in case anybody missed it, the website for you to order the book was on the screen, and we'll go ahead and bring it back on the screen just in case you missed it. There it is. But so the book was published back in
Yes, ma'am.
April.
Yes, ma'am.
What are your plans now?
My plan is I'm working on the second one.
Wonderful.
And so, as this goes along, I think that the biggest compliment for me, first of all, I had the privilege of being on the TV. I think you guys are stuck with me for a minute, Dr. Rhonda, because I really, seriously, because I really love what you're doing. I
Thank
feel
you.
like it's my niche. And so it's not like I'm going to go away. I think you're stuck with me for a minute. I am doing like a promo through the National Black.
The National Black Book Festival.
Yes.
Are
I
you
have
going to
signed
be?
up a
Are you going to
marketing
Houston
plan with,
next this month?
I was too late to go this month, but I did sign up for a marketing plan.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's why I say you kind of stuck with me now because I really like
Okay.
what you're doing. And I feel that for the audience, for the target audience, it's a great match.
Well, wonderful. Well, Gwen does a good job with her marketing packages under the National Black Book Festival. And then if you want something further, you can always come back to us. We're two different companies, but we partner. We work together.
Got it.
So
Okay. Yes.
you can still go on Black Authors Matter TV and tell your story there. And then you've already signed with her marketing package. If you want a separate marketing package, of course, you can come to me
I can
and
come
we
to
can
you
work with you
too.
that
No,
way as
because
well.
Dr. Rhonda, there's never too much marketing.
Absolutely.
So you get, I'm in. It's, and like I said, I feel that this is such a good fit for me that it's an opportunity that I really want to explore and see how we can work together and how you can make this book shine out there.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm honored to work with you. I'm really glad that we were able to talk tonight. I wish we could talk longer, but we do have another guest.
Yes.
However, I will say that if you would ever like to come back on the show, you are more than welcome.
Okay.
Because like I said, this was a great conversation. I love the way you started the conversation. I think it's something that more and more people need to hear. And I wish you all the best with
Thank
your
you so
story
much.
and with getting your book out there.
So just can I ask something quickly?
Sure.
Would I get more information about a future collaboration in terms of marketing and see, I'm really, 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 really pushing.
Oh, absolutely. If you go back to the website,
Yeah.
and I'll put it in the chat, or Daniel, if you can put it in the chat, www.mtwimagesolutions.com, which is my website.
Yes.
Um, And there's a work. In fact, I'm typing it in, Daniel. You don't have to worry, because I know he's like, what? Okay, so you can just put it on the screen. All right. So if you go to my website and there's a Work With Me tab.
Yes.
If you click on Work With Me, I have a number of different services that I offer. You can just take a look at that.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you again really soon.
I look forward to working with you. Thanks once again for being on the show. I really enjoyed it. The time was so fast. So you know you have to
Yes.
come back now.
Thank you.
All right. You have a wonderful evening.
You too, Dr. Rhonda.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So,
All right. That was Ana Dao. Make sure you get her book. Beautiful, beautiful story. So just before I bring in our next guest, I just want to give you a reminder that we have the Meet the World Writers Cruise coming up, and I really, really want you guys to be a part of it.
Did you know your love for books could change lives? The For the Culture Book Awards isn't just any book contest. It's a celebration of diverse authors who create captivating stories that uplift African American culture. But here's the real magic. All proceeds from this amazing contest go straight to the Meet the World Image Solutions essay and scholarship programs. Yup, you heard that right. Every submitted book doesn't just uplift an author. It supports students who need a helping hand with their education. It's a win-win. Imagine the joy of knowing your book could help fund scholarships for talented young minds. It's about giving back to the community and opening doors for the next generation of writers, thinkers, and leaders. Submit your recently published fiction novel, spread the word, and let's make a difference together. Let's turn the page to a brighter future, one book at a time.
I am the story that's been whispering in your ear, waiting for you to listen. Take me on the Meet the World Writers Cruise, August 29th, 2025, where the Caribbean Sea will wash away your fears and doubts. Leave everything behind for 5 days of inspiration and feel the freedom of writing without distractions. Just the open water and the pages in front of you. There are only 30 cabins available, and the first 15 cruisers get a $200 discount. Don't miss this chance to bring me to life. Your future bestseller is calling.
Hello. There we go. How are you?
Hey there, I'm good. I'm good. I was like, listen, come back, Dr. Rhonda, because I can't do this whether you're sitting there or not.
Oh, you can do the show. I probably could have just stayed out and then you could have handled the whole thing by yourself.
But I welcome the conversation with you. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest here in the Authors Lounge. I love that.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate you accepting the invite. I just like the last guest, I met you at the Harlem Book Festival as well.
That's right. That's right. That was a great experience. I really had a good time just meeting and connecting with, all of the beautiful authors that were out there. We were just out there grinding, trying to make some impact in the
Right,
community.
and fighting that monsoon that hit us at the end.
Yes,
Right?
yes. But we survived. As New Yorkers, look, that weather don't faze us. It doesn't faze us at all.
No, not at all. I mean, because we still did good.
Yes. It was beautiful.
I'll tell you, I really, really, really enjoyed that experience, just like you said.
Mhm.
The first time I did the Harlem Book Festival was actually about 20 years ago when I first became an author. and it was a little different back then.
Okay.
But I will say that I was a little nervous about going back because back then it felt so cutthroat. I mean, the authors were out there and they were grinding, and I was like, I'm a brand new author, and I was like, man, I'm not. Maybe I'm not aggressive enough for this, and I was worried. And I came back and I was like, I love this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll tell you, Mr. Max has stuck with me for as long as I'm an author. I will be at the Harlem Book Festival, and I'm planning on going back in 2025.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah. So, first of all, love the pink.
Thank you. I started to wear my blue. I started to, but I had on a pink earlier today. I said, girl, you're not changing. It's too late in the day to be changing clothes. So I was like, just keep the pink on.
I'm not mad at you at all. I'm not mad. But you know what, though? Sometimes it's cool to just wear different colors because they just look good in every color.
Come on, don't we? Don't we?
So tell me about your book, ma'am.
Well, I've got quite a bit of books under my belt. I've been writing since 2015, but my latest project is entitled The Power of Choice. And that's the book that's really sitting in my arms. And that's the one that I've really been cradling and cultivating over this past year. So it's about a year old, but it's still my heart because it's such a profound message. And the power of choice, where it stems from is when I left my 6-figure job. So I walked away from my 6-figure corporate job because of my well-being. And I had to make that declaration for myself because work, you know how work can be, the stresses of life and everything in between.
Yes.
And I had to decide. I had gone out on a medical leave and the doctor was telling me that I was clear to go back, but something in my heart and my spirit was saying, I am not ready to go back. And when I was finally cleared and they said, we can't keep you out any longer because you are physically healed. I was like, I've been a registered nurse for 20 plus years. Healing on the surface is not the only healing that has to take place. There is an internal healing that has to take its place first, in all honesty, before the outside heals. But sometimes the outside heals first. And that was the indicator that they were using to say, you know what, you're cleared to go back to work. You've been out X amount of time, and now it's time to go back. So I was faced with this kind of dilemma, go back and serve from an unhealed place, or make the decision to walk away.
And I'll tell you, it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing, but at the same time, it's a very brave thing because if you had a 6-figure corporate job, I have a 6-figure job as well. And if I were to say, okay, I'm going to walk away, it's going to be a scary thing because you're automatically going to start thinking, well, how am I going to get the bills paid? How am I going to keep my home? How am I going to keep our standard of living? I can't do this. Oh, I need to go back. But you stepped out on faith.
Yes.
What was it that gave you that that confirmation that you were doing the right thing?
You know what's funny, Dr. Rhonda, when I started that position, I was so excited, because I had met my top salary. I was like, George Weezy, where you at? We had I have arrived. Come on, I'm here.
You got your piece of the pie.
Yeah, I moved on up and I'm ready. I am ready. And I was so ecstatic about that position. Yes. And I remember when I first got there, I was in awe of everything, the decor, the location, everything was just so perfect to me. They gave you free coffee and tea. I was like, oh, I never worked for a place that gave you free tea, free coffee. I'm like, this is, in my Tiffany Haddish voice, I was like, this is nice. And I was unpacking, I was getting the cement, I was getting the glue, and your girl was there to stay. And I remember the very first day I got there, I clearly heard God say, this is your last job.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, okay, so hey, we might as well put the cement, we might as well unpack all of the
Yeah,
baggage.
you thought that meant that you were going to be with that job till the wheels fell off.
Exactly, until retirement, until the ripe old age, that was going to be where I was going to retire. It was either going to be where I was going to retire or where I was going, right? So when you're so stressed out and you're working and you're slaving around for these jobs, sometimes it's not retirement. It's literally when you just shut down, when you just give out. But of course, my mind is not thinking cryptic, but I am like, okay, this is where I'm going to stay.
Yes.
So yeah, it was very, very scary when I started hearing God said, okay, green light, like it's time to go. And I was like, but wait, like I'm not dead. Let me do my pulse check. Like I'm not dead. I'm not a retirement age. Like what? And I just kept feeling it in my spirit and kept feeling it in my spirit. And I wasn't moving.
Mm.
I wasn't moving because again, I'm content. This is the best salary ever. And this is where I'm going to stay. And finally, God had to disrupt the comfortable. Where I got comfortable, he started to disrupt it. And so now I'm moaning and I'm groaning and I'm feeling the pains and the woes. And then I had to see the writing that was on the wall. This was my exit. I should have been exited.
Right.
But because of fear, because of the financial obligations, because of the lifestyle that I had grew accustomed to, I kept my feet planted. But God kept nudging. And when he said it was time to go, honestly, I had no choice. And so I saw my out right after I was, out on disability for a while. I said, you know what? This would be a good place to get off. This stop right here will suit me just fine. And the day that I went back was the very same day that I gave my notice. And it was because I was choosing my wellness. That was my physical wellness. That was my mental wellness. That was my spiritual wellness. Because you can't be out here in these streets being disobedient to God, because that's not a healthy situation at all.
Absolutely.
And I learned that there was power that generated from me declaring that Sheniqua was worth it. There was this amount of power that exuded, hence how we came up with the title, The Power of Choice.
Love that. I don't know if you saw the comment on the screen. Black Mom's Reality Showcase from IG. She said that job will still be there.
Listen, and they still carrying on. But you know what? At the end of the day, it was about my total well-being. I can't be a corporate trainer and a wellness facilitator. I can't be out here preaching to other people about taking care of their mind, body, and souls.
Yes.
And then I'm deteriorating.
Absolutely.
All for a paycheck?
Well, when you put it like that,
right? We have the power of choice. Some people choose to stay on those types of jobs, in those types of situations, and I totally understand it. I don't recommend you try this at home. Don't you dare. Don't you dare, unless God tells you to.
Now that's the question, because often we think that God told us to do something when that's really what we wanted to do anyway. And so we try to tell ourselves that's what God told us.
Yes.
So how do we know the difference between what it is that we want to do, or maybe even the opposite of what we're afraid to do, and what God really wants us to do?
Chances are what you want to do may not necessarily be the same thing that God has intended for you. Okay, there's a lot of character references in the Bible where God will have people move away from their entire families and they're
Yes.
starting anew. They're starting,
Abraham. Yes.
so it probably, if you're like, oh, this is good, nah, it may not be it. You might want to sit, and that's when you're going to start looking around for the confirmations and everything. But you do have to trust that you know his voice.
Yes.
And I had to constantly remind myself that I do know God's voice. That's how I actually wrote my very first book. I didn't know my own strength, how my faith moved my mountains, because that was my test to teach me how to hear from God. So I know I hear from him. So just because he's saying something that's uncomfortable to me, just because he's saying something that really looks kind of wacky and will shock everybody, doesn't mean I'm not hearing him say it. Now he's waiting on me to put my faith to the test, right? And how Anna was saying, you got to have them both. You have to have faith and you have to have doubt. But there has to be something in you that just knows that you know, and you err on the side of faith.
I love this because this is confirmation because
Mm-hmm.
we went to visit a different church yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And the pastor's sermon, he's been, apparently he has a whole series that he's doing based on emotions, based on the movie Inside Out, which
Oh, that's my jam right there.
I'm the only one in the world who still hasn't seen it.
Oh
I'm
my
going to watch it.
goodness.
I promise I'm going to watch it. But
Yes.
so he wanted to do a series of sermons based on different emotions. So the emotion yesterday that he addressed is fear.
Mm-hmm.
And what he said was, which I thought was so poignant, he said that often we think that if we're afraid that we're outside of the will of God, we don't want to admit that we're afraid because we think that we're almost sinning if we say that we're afraid. And he said there's nothing wrong with fear. It's when you have a spirit of fear, where you're living your whole life based on fear.
Mm-hmm.
That is the problem. And I was like, I had never heard anybody break it down like that. Most people, a lot of Christians don't want to say that they're afraid of doing something because they feel like, okay, I'm out of the will of God. I'm supposed to have faith. I'm supposed to believe in him, but it doesn't mean that you're not scared. And if you don't address that, if you don't admit that, often you're still winding up living in a spirit of fear. You're just afraid to say it.
Yeah.
But so there's a total difference. So when he broke that down like that, I was like, he is so right.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being scared. You
That's
just don't
right.
live in that fear.
Because if being scared is what causes us to be cautious.
Yeah.
Right. So if God says you got to jump. Well, I'm not going to, I mean, human nature, I'm not going to just jump off the building or anything like that. But
Right.
it causes us to say, okay, where are my safeguards? Where are my resources? So liken to me leaving my job. Now, don't get me twisted. I didn't just, I'm leaving. This was something that I thought about the whole time I was out on my medical leave. I literally was thinking about this. I'm like, I could build my business. I can grow. I can scale. And I started doing the work. While I was on medical leave, I was doing the work.
Boom.
And I had already saved.
So you didn't just jump up and leave your job. You didn't wake up one morning and say, okay, I'm leaving my job today.
No, I thought about this. So I was out on medical leave for 2 months. And I kid you not, there was not a day. There was not a day in those 2 months that I did not start thinking about the exit. And because I just kept saying, God, is this it?
Yeah.
Is this the exit that you warned about 4 years ago? Is this what you meant? And I talked to God continuously. So yeah, I was afraid. Who wouldn't be? I'm not crazy, y'all, I promise. You have to learn how to be the champion over fear. So it's okay to be afraid. I'm afraid of dogs, but I still get up and walk every day in a community that is filled with dogs. And I have a fear of them. I don't like them one bit. Because if you listen to my live videos, I tell you how much I don't like them. I'm like, oh, there's the person with the dog. Oh, I'm trying to dodge the dogs. I'm really showing my fear. But I'm out there anyway.
Did you see the comment from Anna, our last guest? She said, faith is being scared and trusting God anyway to see you through.
Yes, absolutely. And he has never, I mean, come on, just think back. Think back. And do you have it logged down anywhere where God has failed you? It may not have worked out the way you had planned.
Right.
But has God ever failed you? So even with doubt, I was talking to God this morning and I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of things on my to-do list and I was feeling overwhelmed before the day even started. And I admitted that to God because in our weakness, that's where we find his strength. So I don't know about you,
Love it.
But I don't mind being weak because that's when I'm going to tap in to his power. So I
now, besides being an author, you're also a TEDx speaker. Are these the subjects that you address in your TEDx?
In the TEDx, I spoke about depression. And truth be told, I spoke about how hope. Come on now. Come on, Anna. I know you can preach this with me. How hope can actually be the medicine. It can be the remedy for depression. So that's what the talk was about. And I don't think we tap in to the power that is in hope.
Yes.
Right? It's the catalyst. And so we get those emotions, and just from a glimmer of hope can cause you to get up and to face the day again. Simply by having a little bit of hope. If you're going for a job interview, you don't have the job yet, the bill collectors are calling, you don't have the money yet. But if you have the hope that next week I've got an interview, I have hope, you actually can calm down your anxiety.
Yes.
You can calm down your depression if you have an inkling of hope to hold on to.
Love it. Love it. Anna says she's right there with you.
Because it is about the faith, and that is the anchor. So that is what allowed me, because when I did TEDx, I went to South Africa.
Oh, wow.
I had
You
never
did it
been
in
to
South
South Africa before in my life. And I went to speak on a TEDx stage in South Africa. Who does that? Y'all
You know what?
think I'm crazy.
That's a great example. You could have been said, I've heard terrible things about South Africa. I'm not going. I will never go there. And then you miss out on your opportunity for not going. But now if you say, I'm a little nervous about
I
going
was
to South
crazy
Africa
nervous.
and I'm going to take precautions while I'm there, that is a total difference. So that's a healthy fear versus being paralyzed and having a spirit of fear. Anna asks, what role does the need to control play in here?
That is a huge one, because that's one of the catalysts of fear, is the fact that we have to control every entity of it. One day I had went on a retreat with my personal development coach, and she didn't tell us nothing. So we knew where we were going. We knew where we were staying, but she didn't give us the itinerary. And boy, were these women in a knot. And she was like, I know that bothers y'all. She's like, because y'all want to know what you're doing at 8 a.m. to what you're doing to midnight. Like, you want to have every day, every moment allocated to something, because you want to have control over yes, no, maybe so. She's like, but I'm going to love you through it. She's like, we're going to stroke. She's like, whatever you need me to stroke your back. You need me to hold your hand, but you are going to get through this very uncomfortable situation of not being able to control this. And she said, do you trust me? She was like, apparently you all do, because you paid your deposits. So you trust me. But what we do is we say we trust, we create actions, of trust, but there's still something that pulls us back. I'm not in control. I don't know what's going on. So yes, fear is highly attached to us being in control. And I'm going to share this. If you let go of that nature to be a control freak or control addict, however you would like to term it, you will find yourself less scared. If you let God,
That's right.
if you say, because you say that He is the head of your life, you say these things, but your actions sometimes, when it's comfortable, sometimes they line up to what it is you're saying. But in the same breath, you're pulling back. Oh, I know what you're saying, Dr. Sheniqua. I can leave my job. Those people get on my nerves. You're saying it. I trust God. God will take care. He is my provider. He will take care of me. But in the same breath, you're sucking back in saying, whoop, nope, tuition needs to be paid. Whoop, nope, got the kids to think about. Whoop, no, the husband will think I'm crazy. And you start sucking back in. When you're in a labor, when a woman's in labor and it's time for her to push, the worst thing she can do once the contraction has passed and she pushes through it is she sucks back in. You can't do that. Don't suck the baby back in. You just spent, the worst minutes of your life, this grueling agony. You push, you're leaning in on faith. And the minute you get a chance to breathe, now you suck it back in. We do that. That's human nature. But we got to be intentional about not leaping in faith and then pulling ourselves back. That's how you get hurt.
Amen. So, we are talking with Dr. Sheniqua Johnson. She's also known as Sheniqua Inspires. As you can tell, she is inspiring. She's a TEDx speaker. She is the author of 15 books, and she's the host of the Sicily Sundays podcast and the Black Girl Encourage Her. Oh, the Black Girl Encourage Her podcast. Love it. So, tell us how we can reach out to you, because I know we had your website, or we have your website up now.
Yes.
SheniquaInspires.com. So is that where people can maybe connect with your podcast and learn more about your book?
Absolutely. So you'll see links, but I'm also on YouTube. So if you all are on YouTube, make certain you just go over to Sheniqua Inspires and hit that subscribe button. People don't realize how, because that was the first thing I did. That was the first thing I did. I came to your page and I just immediately hit subscribe. Why? Because the subscriptions help the message to go forth. Yes, you got the information, but how do we get this to a maximum amount of people? How can we stretch this impact? So it is about sharing. It is about subscribing. So that's why I asked you if I can stream this to my platform.
And I appreciate
that.
We
get more reach.
I think a lot of people forget that when they come on the show, that they can also broadcast this specific podcast or the specific show to their audiences at the same time that I'm broadcasting to mine. That helps to expand the message.
Exactly. So now they know about Dr. Rhonda. Now they know about Anna. And now you guys have been introduced to a whole new audience. That's how we keep growing.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you once again for being on the show. Thank you for keeping in touch with me. I've been so busy, but you have been so patient with me, and I appreciate it.
Yes. Listen, I understand busyness, but it is about the impact. It is about the connection. And you, my soror, I'm gonna rock out for you. Like, come on, you know how we do.
Same here.
That's right. That's right.
So if you ever want to come back on the show, just say the word. I am actually cutting off guests to the show. The second Monday in December will be the last show for 2024. And then we will not do we're going to have our Black History Month Literary Weekend guests January and February. And then in March, we'll start bringing in regular guests. So we only have a few more shows left for the rest of 2024. So if you want to come back this year, you're more than welcome. Or if you want to wait until 2025, you're more than welcome to do that.
Well, I have a whole boatload of authors, so I can fill up
Okay.
your calendar for
Come on, do
2025.
it. Now, speaking of authors, do you have your book before we hang up? Because I know we're running over time now. There we
So this
go.
is
The
my
Power of
book, The
Choice.
Power of Choice, prioritizing well-being in a high-stress world. That's what I did. So this book will unlock, it'll talk about, your mindset, because there's a mindset that comes with saying yes. It's not just about I'm telling people no. Yeah, you do have the right to tell people yes or no, but you want your no to be no, you want your yes to be yes, and you want to stand with, in conviction with that. You want to be solid to it. So this book is going to give you stress management techniques. It's going to give you mindfulness techniques. So it's a really good book. You might want to add it to your library. You might want to get a few copies to put them in stocking stuffers, give it to them coworkers that's stressing you out. This is just a subtle hint, the subtle hints. But yes, this book is available on Amazon, and it's also available on my website, sheniquainspires.com.
All right. Well, thank you once again for being on the show. May God bless you and all that you do and all that you touch. I really enjoyed talking with you tonight.
Thank you. Blessings to you, Sora.
All right. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye. All right, y'all. We have come to the end of another wonderful episode of the Horizons Author Lounge. I want to thank all of you for supporting the show and helping the show to continue to grow. Now, one last thing I want to let you know before we log out tonight. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we have a new t-shirt. Did you guys know that Black women are 40% more apt to die of breast cancer than women of other nationalities? So what we want to do this year, we are supporting breast cancer awareness, but we are supporting Black women with breast cancer. We want you all to get this t-shirt. If you are an author, okay, the link is on the screen right now, as well as in the chat. If you are an author, let's band together. Let's start a movement to support Black women. So $3 of every t-shirt sold between now and the end of this month will go toward the African American Breast Cancer Alliance. So click the link that you see on the screen and in the chat. Let's make sure that we support these women, because we don't want to see another Black woman die of breast because she didn't know or she didn't get the treatment soon enough. This is what we do. This is how we act as a community. So I want to see you guys support that. So just click the link, purchase your t-shirt, and as I said, $3 of every t-shirt will be donated to the African American Breast Cancer Alliance. So that's that last thing. And then also, if you are planning on going on the Meet the World Writers Cruise, I want to make sure that you don't forget to come to the webinar, which will be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will answer every question that you might have. And everybody who pays their deposit or even pays in full on Wednesday is going to get a special gift. So you don't want to miss this. More information to follow very soon. We want to make sure that everybody gets it. Thank you, Richard. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get on this cruise who wants to go on this cruise. So www.mtwimagesolutions.com/cruise to get more information about the cruise. And then make sure that you on this webinar Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just keep in touch with Meet the World Image Solutions, all of our social media platforms, so you can get the link and you can get more information and make your deposits on Wednesday night, so we can go ahead and fill out this cruise and we can have a good time. All right, so that's all we have for tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Thank you for helping the show to grow. Thank you for supporting the authors who were on the show tonight, because that's what this is all about. We are here to support and to provide a platform for new established and independent authors throughout the country, as well as internationally, because we've had some international authors on the show as well. So that's all we have for tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow on Black Authors Matter TV. And then I will see you once again right here next week for 2 more authors who will be highlighting on Monday night. So you guys have a wonderful evening. God bless you and good night.